Hello, welcome back to the breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you were watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm back with another update coming out for the war between Russia and Ukraine, and I have a ton of huge news that I'd like to brief you all on today. So today's date is March 3rd, 2025, and it's Monday. So welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys all had a wonderful weekend and hope you're ready for another awesome week of news. So I did catch a little bit of a cold over the weekend. I feel like I've gotten sick several times this year, but for the most part, it's been pretty minor. But last night, my nose started running really heavily. I'm having a lot of sinus issues right now, so I apologize if I sound a little plugged up. But we're going to try our best. Let's get through this. Got a lot of news to cover with you guys today. So last night, Ukrainian drones visited Russia's Ufa oil refinery. Okay, this is 1,300 kilometers from Ukraine, very deep into Russian territory out in the Bashkortostan region of Russia, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. So you can see here in multiple videos that I'm showing you, huge fires broke out at this facility, and it was interesting because the authorities in the area, apparently Reuters was reporting today that the authorities were stating that it was a technical issue or malfunction that caused the fire over here. But there was lots of reports coming out on Telegram over the last 12 hours from many of the residents in the area of Ufa. And they were stating that they were hearing incoming drones. So these drones were striking way deep into Russian territory last night. Also in the city of Perm, just a little bit north of where this refinery is located, we had reports of a fire at a gunpowder factory as well. So I wonder if Ukraine also targeted that gunpowder factory. It's very possible there was a fire that broke out there. They had to evacuate people. I'll show you guys that information here in just a little bit. So if you see here on your screen, on the night of March 3rd, Russia's reported hearing explosion sounds in Ufa. It was later revealed that unidentified drones attacked a local oil refinery, causing a fire, according to Russian Telegram channels. Okay, so a massive fire broke out here. Lots of video to show you guys today. Numerous other things we're going to get into as well. I do have a little bit of news from yesterday as we were not here, so I'll kind of brief you guys on some information coming out from that security summit that was held in London also, and also some news from today. So let's go ahead and jump into this. We're going to hop on over here to ViceGrad24 on X. No mainstream news coverage today. So breaking, a Ukrainian drone swarm has hit the oil refinery in Ufa, Russia. It's more than 1,300 kilometers or 810 miles from the front line. So I believe this is the deepest strike into Russian territory ever, at least a confirmed strike, and a huge strike as well. I think this oil refinery got hit multiple times because the videos that are coming out from here, just massive fires being reported. So take a look at this video real quick. So this might be the initial hit. There was probably multiple swarms attacking this facility at the same time. So you can see one major fire here right in the middle. Some of these other videos that come out appear to show even more fire. So we'll jump on over to a map now. Let me quickly show you where this facility is located. So here's Ukrainian territory down here. Here's Russia. So way deep over here past Kazan over in the Bashkortostan region. We're going to zoom into Ufa. Okay, so Ufa is going to be right in the center of this oblast here. So zoom into Ufa. Here you can see the city of Ufa, and up here in the northeastern portion of Ufa, we have the Ufa oil refinery right here. Okay, it is a massive facility, and I believe this could be the first time that Ukraine has attacked this. I haven't really reported the Ufa oil refinery ever being attacked in the past, so it's possible it could have been attacked, and maybe we just didn't report it, but I haven't heard this name in a very long time, if that happens to be the case. So I think the official name is called Ufimsky. You can see right here, Ufimsky. For this oil refinery, but it is in the town of Ufa, so we'll just say Ufa for short. But we can see here lots of oil storage tanks at this facility, and I believe it did get hit multiple times. With so much fire being reported over here, we'll see if it happens to end up being shut down here very soon, as this has been something we have seen in the past, and maybe we'll see a double tap or a triple tap strike on this facility over the next couple days. So northeast portion of the town or city, of Ufa, way in the Bashkortostan region of Russia, okay, about 1,300 kilometers from the border of Ukraine, okay, massive hit out here, guys. Many times up here in Kazan, in this area, we see a lot of oil refineries get hit right here next to the Volga River, but way past the Volga River, probably another 300 to 400 kilometers past it is where we saw this strike, okay? So let's jump back on over to X now. I've got more videos to show you guys over here. Max 24 reports a moment of strike on UFA. I was going to say UFA, UFA Refinery. So take a look at this, guys. This is going to show somebody's security camera footage that has a little overview of the facility right over here, and you're going to see an explosion at the very beginning, followed up with that sound of the explosion. So take a look at this. All right, we'll go ahead and pause it there. The rest of this video has no sound, but you can see towards the beginning, we'll go back just a little bit, that initial impact right there on the facility. Soon after, you see that major flame come up, and it just completely brightens up the skies over here after this drone has struck this facility, okay? So I believe it got hit multiple times. I wouldn't be surprised. But again, the authorities were stating it was a technical malfunction that caused the fire at this refinery. Now from Anton Gerashenko, Russian telegram channels report an attack on Ufimsky oil refinery in Ufa, Bashkortostan region of Russia. The refinery is one of the largest in Russia and produces fuel for the Russian army. Okay, we got two videos to show you guys. Let's jump into this first one here. All right, so not the best camera angle, but we can see down here on the right corner of your screen, just before the person zooms in, whoever's recording this, the fire definitely grew. I mean, look at how much bigger that fire got. It looks pretty centralized there. Looks like maybe another fire over here to the left as well, possibly indicating multiple explosions at this facility. So we'll jump to the next video. All right, so there you go. Multiple angles of this refinery being hit by Ukrainian drones. And once again, another major refinery being struck. We've seen this so many times now from Ukraine. And it's been a little while. How long has it been, guys? Probably about a week or so, maybe longer, since we last reported an oil refinery being hit. So it's been a little bit of a while now, but there was some point where we had drones striking refineries almost every single day, it seemed like. So pretty insane video coming out today. Let's jump on to some other news now from Vicegrad24. The UK announces it's sending 5,000 LMM, which are lightweight multi-role missiles, air-to-surface, air-to-air, surface-to-air, and surface-to-surface missiles to Ukraine, okay? Apparently this was part of that package. On Saturday, we reported to you guys when Zelensky left the United States after that horrible meeting with Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. He went over to London to arrive early to meet with Keir Starmer, and they announced a I think it was 2.8 or 2.6 billion aid package for Ukraine. It was a loan, and apparently this is part of it, okay? They're going to be getting some of these lightweight multi-role missiles, and it says the lightweight multi-role missile, or LMM, is a lightweight precision strike multi-role missile. LMM is designed to be fired from a variety of tactical platforms, so it's got, it's only 13 kilograms in weight, far-reaching, more than 6 kilometers operational range, and it's very fast, apparently, to Mach 1.5, velocity. So just a little bit of details on this. They're going to be getting 5,000 of these they can use for their aircraft, okay? Now from Vicegrad24, breaking: Poland has donated a new large batch of modernized T-72 tanks to Ukraine. The tanks have reached the front lines. On February 24th, Poland announced a 46 military aid package. It was the first new military aid package sent by Poland since the summer of 2024. Okay, we actually reported on that back on February 24th when Poland announced an aid package. So apparently this was part of it, was a bunch of T-72 tanks for Ukraine, and allegedly they're already on the front lines. So that's great that Poland donated those. Also last night we had a strike in Kharkiv. Here's a report from Bliskovka. In Kharkiv, 3 people are known to have been injured as a result of a suicide bomber hitting a residential building, Regional Military Administration reported. So here's some photos coming out. We had a residential apartment building that was hit by Russian drones last night, and I believe there wasn't too many drones going into Ukraine. I think it was somewhere around 83, which is still quite a bit, but nothing like we have seen recently. Lately, it's been anywhere from 150 to 200 on average every night, and I do have a new update very soon also regarding Russian drones. We're going to be seeing a lot more going into Ukraine very soon. Now from Nexta, Russia strikes Kharkiv overnight, residential building hit, animals killed in petting zoo. A Russian drone attack on Kharkiv left 8 injured, including a child, and striking residential building. Not just people, animals suffered too. A petting zoo was also hit, with multiple animals killed. Rescue operations are ongoing. On Ukraine, as Ukraine assesses the damage, another night of terror from the sky. Okay, so we got a video here. It's going to show damage to a building. We got a few photos of a zoo that was hit as well, and animals were killed. Very sad to report that. So let's jump into this video. All right, so as we can see here, Kharkiv last night, this is in northeastern Ukraine, very close to the border of Russia, getting hammered by Russian drones last night. A few photos coming out too. This was a photo of a petting zoo, and I believe these were like some sort of, I'm not sure if they were deer, some sort of animal. Animals got killed here as Russian drones were striking this petting zoo also. Okay, so just imagine that. Were these drones being shot down, or what's going on here? But literally a petting zoo in Kharkiv getting attacked last night also. All right, now from World Source News 24/7, breaking a fire at the Perm gunpowder plant in Russia. At least 50 people have been evacuated from the site. So here's like a little overview satellite image of where this facility is located. And yeah, reportedly there was some sort of fire over here. And again, this is just a little bit north of where Ufa is located at. So I'm not sure if Ukraine attacked this gunpowder plant also. It's very possible maybe they did because drones were heading out this direction anyway. But nonetheless, looks like we had a fire over here. Not too many details on what happened, whether this place exploded or what happened here. But definitely a fire being reported here at this gunpowder plant. Excuse me. Now we'll talk a little bit about the security summit that was being held in London yesterday. Okay, I know for sure the UK and France were attending this. Zelensky was there as well. So here's a couple reports coming out from Vicegrad24. Breaking: Starmer presents Europe's 4-point plan. More military aid for Ukraine and sanctions on Russia. Lasting peace must ensure Ukraine's sovereignty and security after a peace deal. The EU will continue boosting Ukraine's defense capabilities. EU peacekeeping forces in Ukraine with U.S. support. Okay, so that was something basically stated by Keir Starmer here. This is a 2-minute clip, and he basically just kind of goes over some of these details. Not really too important to watch this, but just some of the information in terms of a 4-point plan that Starmer presented yesterday during this conference or the security summit with Ukraine. Okay. Now, from the Ukrainian Review, UK and France will develop a plan to end the war in Ukraine, says Starmer. The goal of today's meeting, according to him, was to unite European allies for this. Ukraine, we will send a military contingent to Ukraine to protect the implementation of the agreement, he said. Okay, so it looks like UK and France right now are trying to work on their own version of trying to develop a peace plan for Ukraine and Russia. We'll see if they're able to do so, because we know things are not going good right now with the U.S. As just a few days ago, when Zelensky visited the White House to meet with Trump and Vance, did not go good. Trump and Vance, really teaming up, excuse me, and really putting Zelensky in a tough spot and calling him out a lot of different things. And it was not a good concrete conversation. They didn't really get anything done. He basically got kicked out of the White House. We talked a lot about that last week. So it looks like the UK and France trying to step up in Europe to see what they can do as well. Now from Bliskovka, several proposals for a possible ceasefire in Ukraine are on the table, the British Prime Minister's spokesman reported. Okay, this actually came out today, and this is on Reuters. UK says several proposals for Ukraine ceasefire are on the table after France floats 1-month truce. Okay, we'll talk about that 1-month truce as well. So yeah, UK is apparently coming out with multiple proposals. We don't know too many details on that, maybe very soon. But again, they are trying to end this war as well. Here's a report from Max24. Sky News reports the UK is ready to close the sky over Ukraine to ensure the peace deal, says Prime Minister Starmer. UK is prepared to provide not just troops, but also aviation to monitor the peace agreement. Okay, this is something we've been hearing a lot about recently, and this was yet again another statement coming out from Keir Starmer today. And apparently, they're ready to close the skies and get the ceasefire deal underway between Russia and Ukraine. So now we'll talk about that 1 month truce. Okay, so from Anton Gerashchenko, the leaders of France and Britain are proposing a partial 1 month truce between Russia and Ukraine, according to Le Figaro. President Macron said this after a summit of European leaders in London. However, Macron said the truce would cover air, sea, and energy infrastructure attacks. The parties should use this period for negotiations. In the event of a ceasefire, it would be very difficult to verify fighting along the front was being respected, Macron said, adding that the front line was equivalent to the distance between Paris and Budapest. At the same time, Macron said that the possible introduction of an allied contingent into Ukraine as part of security guarantees, in the coming weeks was out of the question. The introduction of European troops is considered only after the signing of peace agreements. All right, so I thought this was interesting. A partial 1 month truce between Russia and Ukraine. So they say partial, it's not a complete truce. Looks like the front line would still be active. We would still have troops on Ukraine and Russia's side attacking each other. But at least in terms of what they say here, air, sea, and energy infrastructure attacks, looks like that would cease for the most part. Now, would Russia agree to that and hold that truce? And we'll have to wait and see, because we've been seeing a lot of aerial attacks coming from Russia as well. That would also mean, I believe, that Ukraine would not attack Russia's oil refineries anymore. So we'll see if that happens to be a thing. But that was a big report coming out today. It was a 1 month partial truce between Russia and Ukraine. Now for next, Macron hints at deploying French nukes in Europe, replacing the U.S. ? Emmanuel Macron suggested that France could station its nuclear weapons on Allied territories to fill the gap if the U.S. withdraws its nukes from Europe, according to Le Figaro. Paris is ready to deepen nuclear cooperation with European partners. Macron says France may coordinate with Allied militaries on deterrence. Joint nuclear drills could become a reality to strengthen strategic culture among Europeans. Nuclear issues shouldn't be feared, he added, stressing that France's nuclear doctrine remains unchanged. Big shift in European security, or just a warning to Washington? Let me know what you guys think. Right now it looks like Europe is definitely shifting their strategies. They're starting to realize they're basically on their own now. I also have a report today that it looks like the U.S. could potentially be pulling their troops out of Europe very soon. That's going to leave Europe exposed. And this is also, what if the U.S. starts to pull their nukes away from Europe as well? This is a plan from the French to potentially put out a nuclear umbrella across Europe using French nukes. Okay, so that's what Emmanuel Macron suggested today. Now, also from Max 24, U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth told his European counterparts that they should expect a reduction in the U.S. military presence in Europe, according to the Washington Post. European diplomats were told that 20,000 U.S. troops sent by the Biden administration will be withdrawn from Europe. Okay, so there you go, guys. U.S. is already slowly starting to do this, starting to pull away their troops from Europe. Could they potentially pull away their nuclear weapons from Europe as well? It looks like that's going to be the case. I wouldn't be surprised over the next couple of years we start to see that, and it could drastically happen very quickly as well. So be prepared for that. Now for Max 24, Canadian authorities may send their military to Ukraine as one of the options for ensuring security, according to Justin Trudeau. Okay, so even Canada coming out, stepping up big and saying, hey, we're willing to send our troops to Ukraine to ensure security as well. So we've been hearing multiple countries already, okay? For sure, already the UK and France, they've been talking about doing that. Now we've got Canada. I think some of the Baltic nations could be open to that as well. I think Poland recently came out. They said they were not willing to do it. But multiple nations are already being willing to send their troops to Ukraine and secure their sovereignty and provide security in the event of a ceasefire deal reached between Russia and Ukraine. Now, also from Insider Paper, just in, Zelensky rejects calls for immediate Ukraine-Russia ceasefire, according to the Financial Times. Okay, this came out yesterday. Zelensky apparently came out talking about that. There's also a lot of calls right now, people telling him to resign. So he's basically saying lately he's not going to resign, and also rejecting calls for immediate ceasefire, at least at the moment. Now from World Source News 24/7, okay, this came out today. Breaking, Ukrainian President Zelensky, a deal to end the war between Ukraine and Russia is still very, very far away. Okay, I wonder how far that could be. Probably 6 months or longer. I mean, so far things are not working out between the U.S. and Ukraine, so we'll see how that goes. But they're stating here that, or he's stating, excuse me, that the deal apparently is very far away. Okay, so we'll see how that goes. Now, from the Ukrainian Review, Trump is open to resuming talks with Zelensky on natural resources, but only if he changes his position, according to the White House. So after this conversation between Trump and Zelensky, when they basically blew up on each other and were arguing, the deal for minerals was completely off. Okay, so it looks like the U.S. is still open to resuming talks with Ukraine, but they want him to change his position. They want him to speak much differently about Vladimir Putin. We heard that from Trump. I showed you guys a video that came out on Saturday, I think is what it was. And he was basically saying that, Zelensky needs to come out, stop complaining about Putin, and just say he wants peace. And he wants Ukraine to basically have a different position on this war and claim that they want peace and all that. So that's what Trump is calling for. And he also wants Zelensky to apologize on national television as well for the conversation that they had at the White House. And, the Trump administration claiming that he was being very disrespectful to Trump and to the United States. Now for Max 24, Russia aims to launch around 500 drones across Ukraine simultaneously every day, according to Intelligence Deputy Chief Skibitsky. Okay, so Ukraine's coming out and stating that Russia's planning to launch 500 drones across Ukraine. Now, I could believe that. Potentially, at least 300 to 400 per night. I could see that happening as we've already seen an increase in drones pretty drastically. Okay, today is a little bit different. We've only seen 83, but recently, over the last week and a half or so, maybe almost 2 weeks now, we've been seeing upwards of 200, 150 to 200 drones every single day. So looks like we could potentially be seeing upwards of 500 drones. I mean, how's Ukraine going to handle that if they've got 500 incoming into their territory? They're going to be very busy every single day trying to bring these down. Now from Bliskovka, the SSU and the National Police prevented 4 terrorist attacks and sabotage prepared by the Russian Federation. Over the weekend, Ukrainian law enforcement officers thwarted a series of enemy attacks in several regions. Kiev region, a Russian agent was detained who was preparing to blow up a military base in Bucha, I think is how you pronounce that. Lviv, an agent who was supposed to carry out terrorist attacks near the TRC and the railway station was exposed. In Cherniv, a saboteur who was making explosives to attack security forces and set fire to the ASC building was neutralized. In Vinnytsia, a group of arsonists who were destroying railway equipment on behalf of the Russian Federation were detained. So we've been seeing a lot of this recently. Lots of sabotage events or potential terrorist attacks, explosions in Ukraine. Ukraine has been able to thwart quite a bit of these, okay? For the most part, we don't really hear about this inside of Ukraine. If anything, a lot of these sabotage events or, attacks on Russian military officials, we're seeing that more on the Russian side than we are on the Ukrainian side. So in terms of Ukrainian intelligence, they've been doing a pretty decent job of catching a lot of these people that are potentially trying to carry out some sort of attacks in Ukraine. Also from Max 24 again, Trump will discuss today the possible suspension or complete cancellation of military aid to Ukraine, including weapons paid for by the Biden administration. This was according to New York Times actually yesterday. And I thought this was interesting because we've been hearing a lot about that recently. Could the Trump administration pull their support for Ukraine? Apparently, they're in the talks of that right now. We haven't heard too many updates as of today, but I did hear some information also that Ukraine is going to be receiving some aid from the U.S., so maybe they work that out. Also from Radio Europe, breaking news. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk, 500 million Europeans are asking 300 million Americans to defend them against 140 million Russians. Read that again, guys. That's very true, okay? He's got a point here, and this is something he was stating just yesterday. I want to show you guys this clip. Take a look at this.
Proszę Państwa, jest taki paradoks i ktoś słusznie zauważył, że i zobaczcie, jak to brzmi. 500 milionów Europejczyków prosi 300 milionów Amerykanów, żeby oni ich obronili przed 140 milionami Rosjan. Chcę się powtórzyć tylko te słowa. Umiesz liczyć, to licz na siebie. Zacznij liczyć na siebie. Nie w odosobnieniu, ale z pełną świadomością własnego potencjału. Europa, jeśli czegoś dzisiaj nam brakuje, to przecież nie przewagi gospodarczej czy ludnościowej, tylko wiary w to, że jesteśmy naprawdę globalną potęgą. Proszę Państwa, jest taki paradoks.
All right, so interesting statement coming out from Donald Tusk, the Prime Minister of Poland. And yeah, he's got a point here, okay? 500 million Europeans, why are they asking 300 million Americans to defend themselves against 140 million Russians? It just doesn't make any sense. So what he's doing is basically calling on Europe and saying, "Hey, we need to defend ourselves. We don't need the US to defend us. We can do this ourselves." So we've been seeing a lot of this, okay? Europe's definitely going to start stepping up, and they're realizing that they can depend on themselves. It's making them more independent at the end of the day. If you think about it, it's going to pull them away from having to rely so much on America. Here's a report also talking about that. Ukrainian Review: the U.S. has finally forced Europe to spend trillions on weapons, but in doing so, they have effectively pushed themselves out of the market. European defense companies, which until recently played a secondary role, are now receiving record breaking orders, and the U.S. can no longer impose its defense contracts as easily as before. The American military industrial complex has long considered itself the main beneficiary of any military escalation, but now we are witnessing a new reality. European countries are developing their own defense industries, creating an alternative to the American defense sector. This is certainly not what Washington would call, the art of the deal. So yeah, what's going to happen inside of Europe now is many of these defense industries that are across Europe are going to start producing weapons for Europe, okay? And they're going to start to realize that, hey, we can't rely on the U.S. anymore. So there's going to be a lot of orders coming in just from their own nations inside of Europe. So a lot of these companies are going to start making a lot of money, especially right now, as we know that Europe's going to be spending potentially trillions of dollars on purchasing weapons to get ready and defend themselves in case they ever come under attack by Russia, and just to boost their own defense in general. So we're going to be seeing a lot of that, okay? And they're going to be slowly isolating themselves away from the U.S. in terms of purchasing defense equipment. All right, so that's big news today. Now from Max 24, Europe must prepare for the worst and urgently rearm, Ursula von der Leyen said. According to her, the rearmament plan should be presented on March 6th. So on March 6th, we're going to be expecting to see a lot of huge updates coming out. There's going to be another security conference being held. Many European nations are going to attend, and we should also potentially be hearing maybe hundreds of billions of dollars announced for Ukraine in terms of support. And Europe's going to be talking a lot about their own defense and what they can do to boost their own defense capabilities to protect themselves from other adversaries, especially Russia right now. And again, they're stepping up big and starting to realize they are responsible for their own protection. Okay. Now from Bliskovka, air defense forces of Ukraine destroyed 46 out of 83 Russian UAVs. 31 Russian imitator UAVs were lost locally without negative consequences. Okay, so here's that daily report showing the amount of Russian UAVs entering into Ukraine. So 83 in total Russian UAVs. So much less than what we have seen over the last week or so. We've been, like I told you guys earlier, about 150 to 200 every day. Today, only 83. So I thought that was interesting why we only saw 83. But we did have massive drone attacks inside of Russia last night, too. The Kyiv Independent now reports these are the indicative estimates of Russia's combat losses as of March 3rd, according to the armed forces of Ukraine. All right, guys, so our final update of the day showing Russia's losses as of March 3rd: 1,350 troops, 16 AFVs, 109 vehicles and fuel tanks, 11 tanks, 60 artillery systems, 61 UAVs, and 2 anti-aircraft warfare systems. Okay, so about average numbers that we're seeing here, a little bit less vehicles and fuel tanks, 11 tanks, about average. We've been seeing around 12 recently, and about 1,350 troops, so a little bit higher than what has been reported. I think just the other day we had one around 1,000, so still about average in terms of Russian losses, and we have been seeing kind of a declining amount of Russian losses recently, especially troop numbers. In terms of casualties, those numbers have been dropping a lot over the past month or so. So tons of huge news, guys, and expect by the end of the week, by like Friday, we should have very, very big news coming out. Probably some of the biggest headlines we've seen throughout this entire war, as we should hear a lot of support going for Ukraine this week. Like I told you guys, potentially hundreds of billions going to Ukraine. So expect very big news by Friday. And also Europe's going to be talking a lot this whole week as well about their own defense. So we should be hearing a lot of European news. And we'll see if relations between the U.S. and Ukraine get resolved, but right now, still not looking good between the two. So let me know what you guys think about all these details, though, today. I want to thank you so much for tuning in for this update. If you did get something out of this update, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless. And we'll see you in the next one.